Right now, while you are watching this, your brain is producing a toxic protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. The only way your body removes it is during one specific stage of sleep. And if you are over 50, you have already lost up to 80% of it. In this video, I will show you exactly why your deep sleep disappears with age, the brain cleaning system that shuts down when it does, and a 6-step protocol to get it back. But I saved the most important step for last, because it changes everything. You go to bed at a decent time. You sleep 7, maybe 8 hours. You wake up and you still feel like you did not sleep at all. Your doctor says your sleep is fine. Your body says, here is what nobody tells you. Total sleep time is not the problem. You could sleep 8 hours tonight and get almost zero deep sleep. And deep sleep is the only stage where your brain actually repairs itself. I know this feeling. When I was 29, my sleep broke. Not dramatically, gradually. I would wake up after a full night and feel like I had barely closed my eyes. I went to doctors. Labs were perfect. You are fine. I was not fine. I was foggy by 2 p.m., short-tempered, and watching my ability to think clearly erode week by week. It took me 6 months of reading the actual research to understand what was happening. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And here is the part that should worry you. The stage of sleep you are losing is not just about energy. It is the stage where your brain runs its only cleaning system. But most people have no idea this system even exists. So let me show you what is actually happening inside your brain when you sleep. Because once you see this, the protocol will make complete sense. Your sleep has 4 stages. The deepest one is called slow wave sleep, or stage N3. It is defined by massive slow brain waves that pulse through your entire brain at about 1 cycle per second. A landmark study published in JAMA tracked 149 healthy men across decades and found that deep sleep drops from 18.9% in your 20s to just 3.4% by age 50. That is an 82% decline, and it is the steepest drop in any sleep stage. But here is why that number matters so much. In 2013, researchers at the University of Rochester discovered something remarkable. Your brain has its own waste clearance network called the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, your brain cells physically shrink, opening up gaps between them by about 60%. Cerebrospinal fluid rushes through those gaps like a pressure wash, flushing out toxic proteins, including amyloid beta, the protein that builds up into Alzheimer's plaques. And here is the critical part. This cleaning system is almost entirely dependent on deep sleep. During waking hours, glymphatic clearance drops by 90%. The system needs a specific water channel protein called aquaporin 4 on your brain support cells to work. And it needs the slow rhythmic brain waves of stage N3 to drive the fluid through. So when you lose deep sleep, you are not just losing rest, you are shutting down your brain's only way to take out the trash. Researchers at UC Berkeley published a study showing that deep sleep acts as a cognitive life raft. Among older adults with high levels of Alzheimer's pathology, those who still managed to get good deep sleep maintained their memory. Those who did not declined faster. But it gets worse. Less deep sleep means less cleaning. More amyloid buildup means worse sleep. It becomes a vicious cycle. So why does deep sleep disappear in the first place? 3 things happen as you age. First, the medial prefrontal cortex, the brain region that generates slow waves, physically shrinks. Fewer neurons, weaker waves, less deep sleep. Second, your evening cortisol levels rise, which blocks the chemical environment deep sleep needs. And third, a groundbreaking 2023 study in Science found that wake-promoting neurons in your brain become hyperactive with age. They fire when they should not, fragmenting your sleep before you can reach the deep stages. Therefore, the question is not whether deep sleep matters. The science is clear on that. The question is, can you get it back? Yes, and the research shows 6 specific interventions that work. Here is the deep sleep recovery protocol. Here is what most people get wrong about sleep timing. They focus on bedtime. But the research shows that the single most powerful thing you can do for deep sleep happens in the morning. A systematic analysis of sunlight exposure in older adults found that every 30 minutes of morning sun before 10 a.m. shifted sleep onset 23 minutes earlier and significantly improved deep sleep quality. The mechanism is direct. Specialized cells in your eyes detect bright light and send a signal straight to your brain's master clock, resetting it for the day. If you skip this, your circadian rhythm drifts and deep sleep suffers. 30 to 60 minutes of morning sunlight. That is it. If you cannot get outside, a 10,000 lux light therapy box for 20 minutes does the same thing. What if I told you that previously sedentary older adults gained measurable increases in deep sleep after just 12 weeks of moderate exercise? That is what researchers found using lab-grade sleep recordings. The dose is 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic activity. Brisk walking, swimming, cycling. But timing matters. Exercise builds up adenosine, the molecule that creates sleep pressure. That is exactly what you want. But vigorous exercise too close to bed raises your core temperature and cortisol, which blocks deep sleep entry. The window is simple. Finish at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. This one sounds simple, but most bedrooms are too warm. Research shows that a bedroom temperature between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit optimizes deep sleep architecture. Above 70 degrees, wakefulness increases and deep sleep stages get shorter. Your body needs to drop its core temperature to enter deep sleep. A cool room makes that process easier. Set your thermostat, use a fan, crack a window. This is one of the easiest changes with the biggest impact. This technique comes from an unexpected place, not sleep research, but stress endocrinology. As you age, evening cortisol naturally rises. That is bad enough on its own. But 3 common habits make it dramatically worse. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours. A coffee at 3 p.m. means half that caffeine is still circulating at 9 p.m., actively suppressing deep sleep. Alcohol is even more deceptive. It makes you drowsy, so people think it helps. But alcohol directly suppresses slow-wave sleep throughout the night. And eating too close to bed elevates metabolic activity that competes with the cooling process your body needs. No caffeine after 2 p.m. No alcohol 3 to 4 hours before bed. Dinner at least 2 to 3 hours before sleep. These are not sleep tips. They are a cortisol defense strategy. Here is a contrast that surprises people. Supplements are a billion-dollar industry, but only a few have real evidence for deep sleep. Magnesium is the strongest. A meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials in older adults found that magnesium supplementation reduced sleep onset by 17 minutes compared to placebo. Not dramatic, but meaningful, and it is cheap and safe. Vitamin D deficiency correlates with poor sleep quality. Omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA, improve sleep efficiency in controlled trials. And the Mediterranean diet pattern, fish, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, is consistently linked to better deep sleep across multiple studies. But do not expect supplements to fix deep sleep on their own. They are the foundation that makes the other steps work better. I saved this step for last because it sounds insane. But it is the most powerful behavioral intervention we have for deep sleep, and it matches or beats medication in clinical trials. Sleep restriction therapy means this: if you are only actually sleeping 5.5 hours, but spending 8 hours in bed, you are diluting your sleep pressure across too many hours. Your brain never builds enough pressure to reach deep stages. The fix is counterintuitive. You temporarily restrict your time in bed to match your actual sleep time. 5.5 hours of real sleep? Your bed window is 5.5 hours. Then, as your sleep efficiency improves, you expand by 15 to 30 minutes each week. Studies in older adults show this produces significant improvements in sleep quality, sleep onset, and deep sleep density. It works because you are concentrating all your sleep pressure into a shorter window, forcing your brain to spend more time in the deep stages. This one should be done with guidance from a sleep specialist or through a CBTI program. But the evidence is clear. For many people over 50, this is the single most effective thing you can do. But here is where most people go wrong. The biggest barrier is the belief that deep sleep loss is just part of getting older, that it is normal and there is nothing you can do. That is not what the research says. The decline is real, but it is partially reversible. Every step in this protocol targets a specific mechanism that drives deep sleep loss. Morning light resets your circadian clock. Exercise builds sleep pressure. Temperature control facilitates the cooling your body needs. Cortisol management removes the chemical blockers. And sleep restriction concentrates your sleep into the deep stages. The other trap is thinking more sleep means more deep sleep. It does not. Sleeping 9 or more hours actually correlates with worse cognitive outcomes in older adults. This is about quality, not quantity. You do not need to sleep longer. You need to sleep deeper. And melatonin. It helps with sleep onset and circadian timing. But there is limited evidence it increases slow-wave sleep. Specifically, if deep sleep is your goal, the protocol above is where the science points. Here is the full protocol. 6 steps. Each one targets a specific mechanism that drives deep sleep loss after 50. I expanded everything from this video into a free guide called the Adrian Mercer Sleep Protocol. It is a 7-day plan you can follow at home, step by step. Link in the description. Drop your email, and it is yours. If you want to understand the other half of this equation, why your brain wakes you up at 3 a.m. and how to stop it, I made a video that breaks down the exact cortisol mechanism. I will link it in the description. Tell me in the comments, which of these 6 steps are you going to try first? I read every comment. Subscribe and hit the bell. New sleep science every week. I am Adrian Mercer. Sleep well.